like to call the July 12th meeting of the Fargo School Board to order. And before we move forward on our agenda, it's a very special meeting today. It's the first meeting with our 3 new board members. So I would like to extend a welcome to our new board members, Christy Ulrich and Brandy Ani and John Rodenbiker. Congratulations to you for being the top vote getters, and we're thrilled that you're here. And we'd like to welcome you to your first meeting officially as members of the Fargo Board of Education. And since your election on June 14th, you've completed your oath of office and agreed to complete the duties of a school board member. So we look forward to your contribution and would like to offer you a warm welcome and congratulations. David, we're not applauding your entrance. FYI. Okay, yep, dang. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda, please.
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Second. Motion is second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Thank you. No one has signed up from the audience to speak officially, but welcome to everyone in the audience. We're happy you're here. And at this point, I will turn it over to Dr. Schatz.
Thank you. Our first order of business tonight is the reorganization of the Fargo Board of Education. And so at this time, I would ask Jim to report out from the canvassing committee with regard to the first item on the agenda, the president.
Thank you, Jeff. The one member that expressed interest in serving as president for the coming term is our current president, Linda. So we'd like to place her name to go forward.
Okay, so we have one name that has been forwarded on, that's Linda. And so at this time, I would ask, are there any other nominations from the floor? Jennifer?
I'd like to make a nomination. Dinah?
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate the offer, but at this time I would prefer to still be considered for vice president rather than the president position. I think that this isn't the right year for me, but I appreciate the vote of confidence and the request. Next year, maybe that's the wish of the board. Circumstances will be different, but thank you. But I respectfully decline.
She has declined, so Jennifer, you made the offer, so are you okay with that? Okay. Just want to make sure everybody's good. All right, are there any other nominations from the floor? And one more time, any other nominations from the floor? Okay, at this time, then, what we'll do is we'll proceed. We vote for this, and yes, Jim.
I'd like to move that we unanimously elect Linda to be our president for the coming year and forego the actual ballot.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a second. The one thing that I want to point out is that in our GPs, it does state that we need to have a paper ballot. So I'm not quite sure how we proceed with that, with a unanimous nomination such as that. Rebecca?
Well, we did, am I on here? We did just review that GP at, I can't remember if it was one of the last meetings, and we had quite lengthy discussion on it. My recommendation would be that we go with the paper ballot, based on the fact that we had that in-depth conversation.
Is there any further discussion with regard to the motion that's on the floor? It's been seconded, so we do have to act on that. Jennifer?
We do have it, we did accept it into a GP though, didn't we? So it is our policy.
Correct.
That's correct.
That'd be my only comment, I guess.
Okay. Question?
And I think it was brought up during that discussion. I think Anne Marie gave us some information from Century Code, or so that our practices were aligned with, is it state statute or with the state
That would be the
SBA.
recording and the minutes that we need to have as far as who votes in what way. What we're talking about right now is just you would need to formally do a paper ballot because that's what's in your GP at this time.
Just to clarify, that's why in my motion I said in lieu of doing a paper ballot, because I understood that we do have to have a recording of who voted how. And obviously, if this passed, it would mean all 9 of us voted for Linda without actually doing it on a paper ballot as per policy.
Rebecca?
Without us actually voting one by one verbally, you're also saying, right?
Well, we'd be voting this way right now. So this would be remote, but it doesn't matter. I'm just trying to get on meeting the
So we do have a motion and a second on that motion, and we do have to vote on that. And so, is there any further discussion? So Anne Marie, the motion again, so everybody understands what the motion is.
To approve Linda Boyd, unanimously approve Linda Boyd as president and forgo with the paper ballot.
So at this time, Anne Marie, I'd ask that you call for the vote.
Ani,
Yes.
Benson,
No.
Goldenberg,
No.
Johnson,
Yes.
Knutson,
No.
Paulson,
No.
Rodenbiker,
No.
Ulrich,
No.
Boyd,
No.
Motion fails. So at this time, in front of you, you do have a paper ballot, and so I would ask that each one of you fill out that paper ballot. And Brock usually does this, so Bob, can I ask you to go around and collect those, if you would? And then, once they're collected, Anne Marie and Bob will take a look at them, and we will move forward. So I'd like to announce that Linda Boyd will serve as president for the 2016-17 year, and at this time, I would turn it over to Linda in the position of president of the school board.
Thank you, Dr. Schatz, and thank you. I will do my best this year. I appreciate it. Jim, would you report on the vice president canvassing?
Absolutely. We had 2 members that expressed interest in serving as vice president for the current year, Dana Goldenberg and David Paulson. So on behalf of the canvassing committee, I want to advance both their names for consideration.
Thank you. At this time, if you would mark your ballot and sign it, and Dr. Gross, if you would do the honors again.
Linda, we need to take nominations from the floor.
Oh, excuse me, yes. Are there any nominations from the floor? Any nominations from the floor? And once more, any nominations from the floor? Thank you. So if you would mark your ballots. Dinah, you have been elected vice president, and I want to thank David for putting your name in consideration. Thank both of you for being willing to serve in this capacity. Congratulations, Dinah. Okay, we will move forward to staff reports. Dr. Schatz?
Just quickly, I just wanted to mention a couple of things. Many times during the summer, I get asked often, so are you enjoying your summer off? And I think people forget that in a school district the size of the Fargo Public Schools, that we are really a 12-month operation, and that we have well over 4,000 students engaged in summer school activities. We have the Trollwood main stage production that is kicking off this week, and all the activities going on out at Trollwood. I drove by Claire Barton this morning on my way to work, and there were several people dropping kids off to the building. It looked like almost a regular elementary school day. And so just a reminder to everybody out there that we do have many programs during the summer, lots of staff working, also professional development going on, and many things happening throughout the district. So we don't really shut our doors when summer comes along, plus all the other maintenance and operational types of things that go on during the summer to make sure our buildings are ready to go in the fall. So that quick comment is what I wanted to make tonight. That's the only staff report I have. And I'll turn it back to you, Linda.
Great, thank you. And thank you all for all the work you're doing over the summer. We appreciate it. Brings us to our consent agenda. I'd entertain a motion to approve the items.
Make a motion to approve the items with the
Sure.
added
HR addendum.
HR piece.
Thank you. Is there a second? John, second? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same. Motion carried. Our business item tonight is appointing our building authority membership. As you can see by the memo, this also needs reorganization now that we have changeover in board members, and traditionally the membership has been the 9 school board members plus our business manager plus our superintendent. And I would entertain a motion. Jim, you were prepared for that? Anything else you'd like to say in that regard?
Yeah, it might be good just to make sure everybody knows what the Fargo School District Building Authority is, especially for our 3 newcomers. Political entities, subdivisions of government like Fargo Public Schools, cities, park districts, can use a building authority. It's a tool created in state statute as a alternative funding method for capital projects, buildings primarily for the school district. Many years ago, back in the 90s, a building authority was created for Fargo School District and was actually utilized, I think, at that time to do some of the capital construction project that created Discovery, if I'm not mistaken. It was either Discovery or Centennial. And we have several different buildings over the years that have had projects either to remodel them, to put additions on, or in some cases brand new construction, where instead of using the district's building fund to be the finance mechanism, we actually used the district's building authority, and then we make lease payments to the building authority who has issued out the debt. So following this meeting, we're actually going to have a meeting of the building authority. It typically has 1, sometimes 2 meetings per year, usually held in conjunction with one of our regular school board meetings. So that's what its role is. It's just a separate legal entity that is allowable under state statute that can be used to give additional funding capacity to capital projects. With that kind of as an overview, I would like to put forth a motion that we forward the names of the 9 current board members, along with Dr. Schatz and Brock Leitz, as the recommendation for board membership for the coming year for the Fargo School District Building Authority.
Thank you, Jim. Is there a second?
Second.
Dinah, thank you. Any discussion or questions? John?
Could you clarify why Dr. Schatz and Brock are added to the board in addition to the elected board members?
Sure. Well, first of all, we need Brock involved because there's a budget that we'll be approving later, and I need somebody to calculate that budget besides one of us to hopefully make sure we get it correct. And because it's pretty integral, this building authority, to the underpinning of the capital side of our organization, many years ago, we felt it was appropriate to include the superintendent and the business manager on the board. As you can see from the memo, if any of you or either of them choose to not serve, they certainly have the right to have their name removed. But just as standard protocol, we've had both the superintendent and the business manager really since at least 2000, but perhaps before then too.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, Anne Marie, if you would call the roll, please.
Benson,
Yes.
Goldenberg,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Knutson,
Yes.
Paulson,
Yes.
Rodenbiker,
Yes.
Ulrich,
Yes.
Ani,
Yes.
Boyd.
Yes, motion carries. And that group will convene immediately after we adjourn. Which brings us to board reports. So you have your materials for the retreat in front of you, and then the materials for the training will be coming out next?
Yeah, probably next
Next
week.
week?
Yep.
Okay.
Correct.
And so you'll notice, I think the email come out today that we had to do a little bit of rescheduling and moving it a little earlier. I hope that doesn't throw anyone off too badly. We had some scheduling conflicts that we had to shuffle around a bit. So if you will be here bright and early for breakfast, and we'll get started right away at 7:30. So if you have any questions about any of the materials before Friday, either give me a call, or Dr. Schatz or Anne Marie.
Can I-
Did you have
Comment.
something?
Oh,
Yep,
I just had a question.
yes.
Did I see that this is only scheduled till noon somewhere? Now, I thought originally we were talking about 3, but did I see an email that said noon, or what are we thinking?
Yeah, I think we don't anticipate this to go until 3. I think when we first blocked out the time, that's kind of the big block. But we're hoping that, and the reason, I think originally we were thinking of breaking for lunch and then coming back. It's like, well, that's just going to drag things out. We'll just do like we often do, have a working
Okay.
lunch, and then just as long as it will take to get through. So I'm guessing if we can, if we find ourselves looking at legislative priorities by 11 o'clock, if we haven't gone over, we'll be out of here by noon,
Okay.
easily, I would guess. Dr. Schatz?
Just a couple comments about the documents that you received tonight for the retreat. The first one that you have there is just a updated standard of efforts report, and we were asked to include the ELL and special education information, and so that's in there now, plus the addendum that talks about overall costs to the district and what do we get reimbursed, and then lots of other information. So that is in there. And then if Jackie was able to update any of the charts and things with any current information, she did that. So that is just reference information for you. We're not going to actually talk about that on that day, but that's background information for you to have, and the most current document that we have now for you. And we'll keep doing that as the year goes on and we get new information, to keep that a fresh document. I think it's a nice document just to have and to be able to refer to. And then the mill levy analysis report, what that represents is the work that Brock put together as we were asked as administration to come to you with an overview and a starting point for discussion. And we were asked to come forward with a couple of options for you to consider to start that discussion. So that's what's reflective in that report. And so I would ask that you make sure you read that and be prepared then from that to have that discussion about the whole mill levy question, as you see on here, the financial forecasting and everything else. And then the last document that you have is just a very brief outline of legislative priorities. And so hopefully this information will provide you enough to spur that conversation that you need to have on Friday. And if you have any questions leading up to that, again, feel free to call Brock or I or Anne Marie if you see something you don't understand or you have a question about. So thank you.
Rebecca?
I have a question regarding the mill levy, date of vote. Is that a discussion we're obviously having a discussion about the date and the possibilities, but would we be voting and deciding that at a board meeting, actually, not the retreat?
Absolutely. Anytime we have a retreat, the following board meeting always has a placeholder on it for any action taken and as a result of discussion at the retreat. So the hope is that we will come to consensus after discussion, or at least far along in the discussion, so at the next board meeting. And we will, at this point, place it on the agenda until we have action, because now is a time when we have to make that decision. So, yep, thank you. Any other questions or concerns? Pardon me? One more? Okay.
Just one follow-up on that. When you read the report, you will see a recommendation for a date, because we were asked to come forward with something, so you're going to see that. That's just our recommendation to get the conversation started. Doesn't mean that ultimately you may decide something different, and we would not be offended by that. So just know that you will see that when you look at the document, and like I said, it's a starting point.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, the board picnic, thank you for those of you who have already brought in goodies and donations, so we'll keep that effort going. And at this point, now, just so people can mark their calendars, Jim, could you, just for those who haven't been there, talk a little bit about when you show up, what happens? You two are going to be the grill masters again. There might be some more grill masters out in this room, who knows? So could just talk about board, what we do when we show up, different things that.
Sure. And Dave, I don't know if you'd already committed, but you just got committed.
I
so
just
that's
threw
perfect.
your name out there because you did it last year, so.
This is an event that started about 15 years ago now, as our way of kind of saying thank you to our staff that works year-round. So it'll be over at Oak Grove. Our staff tends to start showing up right about 11 o'clock. By 11:30, they're pretty much all there, hungry, waiting to eat. A couple of us have to get there early. That sounds like Dave's going to volunteer to join me again. We'll be over there at about 9 o'clock, actually getting the charcoal going, so hopefully we can have the chicken and the burgers pretty well done by the time people show up to eat. We'll need a couple of board members to volunteer to kind of be at the sign-up table, which is just where they put their name on a slip of paper and put it into the hat for the door prize drawing. And then board members should be out visiting with people, obviously eat lunch, sit down and enjoy the burnt chicken or raw burgers, depending upon how the chefs do. And then usually about 12:30 or so. It'll depend a little bit on what time the line is finished going through to eat. And we would anticipate someplace between 150 to 200 people. It varies a little bit depending upon who all can get there that day. Once we know everybody's been through the line and most people have probably already had lunch, then we'll need several board members to help with the door prize drawing. Somebody will have a loudspeaker and read the names. The rest of whoever is helping on door prizes will basically take the prize and get it to whoever the lucky winner was. Then at the end, the staff is obviously they're taking care of bringing all the materials back over to the central kitchen here. But it's always kind of nice if the board members would help do a little cleanup on the tables, so the staff doesn't have to do all the work, since this is a staff appreciation picnic, although they certainly chip in and help. They'll be there early and they'll be the last ones to leave. So I don't know what else to cover except for it always is sunny that day. Anne Marie picks this and has done it perfectly every year. So
Thank you for jinxing it.
yeah, no worries. It'll be a beautiful day. So if you want to plan for something in the afternoon to enjoy a beautiful summer day, always book it on the day of the school district picnic, because you will have perfect weather.
Thank you, Jim. Dinah?
I just wanted to reiterate that because, again, I don't know, 3 years in a row, it's always picked on a day I can't be there. So because I won't be there, it will not rain. And Jim never gives himself credit, but this was his brainchild. So I always think that it's worth saying that it was his idea, because I think it's a great idea. And it's always really appreciated by the staff. So, and it's a fun day, especially for newbies, chance to meet some of the staff. So enjoy. I'll be thinking of you.
Thank you.
Thing, Linda. I'm kind of the guilty party here, but I would encourage you all to wear your name tags that day too, because the staff is going to want to visit with you, and it always helps if they can put a face with a name.
Excellent, yep, thank you. Anything else on the board picnic? Yes, Jennifer.
Just made me think of, so did the new board members receive the email, the same email with the letter? Okay, just wanted
Oh,
to
my
make
goodness,
sure.
yes, they've already brought stuff tonight. They're way on the ball, super on the ball. Yep, thank you, thank you. Okay, committee liaison correspondence reports. I'm just gonna ask if anybody has anything. Dinah?
Well, it's not an official liaison, but I just thought you'd be interested to know that ESPB, Education Standards and Practices Board, for those who don't know, I'm on one of the appointees to that board, and we went through a process of hiring a new executive director this spring, and she officially starts tomorrow. Her name is Dr. Rebecca Pitkin. She's coming from Dickinson. She has classroom experience. She's currently as a principal. She's taught at the colleges. She's got her doctorate, and she's got a wide variety of experience that I think will be really beneficial to the board. She's really excited. I hope that there'll be an opportunity for her to, when she's in Fargo sometime, to meet with us. We can discuss whether people want to have her here for a presentation or just have an opportunity to meet her. I think she's going to be a valuable ally and a really good person for ESPB. So I thought I'd let you know that, and that's it.
Great, thank you, Dinah. Jim, any state adventures since?
Not for a couple more weeks.
All right. Anybody else have anything to report? For those of you who are new, actually for all board members, you'll be getting an email from me within a week or two with the whole list of liaison assignments, not the school, but the other committees and boards and so forth, asking what your preferences are. So list as many as you're interested in. Those of you who've been on a board and really want to stay, just let me know. Not everybody has to shuffle around, so if you're really kind of dug in and want to stay there, that's fine too, so just let me know. And that will be coming out, like I say, in a week or two. So the president's report, I'm falling behind here. These are just, again, basically dates to put on your calendar, and the new ones are in green. And I have nothing else to report this week. And unless someone has freakish photographic memory for birthdays like John Strand does, that always fell under other reports. So unless anyone has anything under other reports, I think in terms of a clean agenda, that can probably be retired, because we shouldn't have something on the agenda that says other. So kind of missed that. He gave us a few heads up for birthdays coming up, so at his last meeting. So our next meeting will be Friday for our retreat, bright and early, and then our next regular board meeting is August 9th. Because we don't have, when we typically have the second, we typically skip the second meeting in July, but this time we've used that date for the training retreat, so we'll see you again, but the next full board meeting will be in August. So if there's no other business, we're adjourned, and we will reconvene as the building authority.